Well, hello and welcome to the Thursday trading session as the day before the TGIF trade tomorrow. This week, the first full trading week of January, and 2025 is moving really fast at this point, and we're expecting inflation numbers at some point next week. Investors will be looking out for all of that. But let's get to the top stories I set to agenda now. See, oil prices dropped today, continuing the losses from the day before due to a big jump in U.S. fuel stockpiles last week, although worries about tighter supplies from OPEC and Russia, that helped limit the drop. Brent crude futures lost about 20 cents, 0.4%, $75.88 a barrel, still staying within that range we're used to at this point. $73.02, that's the U.S. WTI crude. So still staying above that $69 psychological level. We've seen that range. Hopefully it stays above this level going forward. 0.4% down. That's what we're seeing there. So with the gasoline stocks, that rose about 6.3 million barrels last week, hitting 237 million barrels, far above the 1.5 million barrel increase expected by analysts. Distillate stockpiles also grew by 6.1 million barrels to 128.9 million barrels, surpassing the suspected and the expected 600,000 barrel rise. However, crude oil inventories, that fell 959,000 barrels, which was different from the expected 184,000 barrel drop. So all the stockpiles, they play into the prices. If the stockpile goes down, we see prices react. If stockpile goes up, we see prices also react to that. Then we see the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, reporting a marginal increase in overall oil production in December, despite production declines from key members like the United Arab Emirates and Iran. For Nigeria, however, saw a notable increase in its oil output, adding 50,000 barrels per day. This rise can be attributed to increased domestic refinery operations, including the recent resumption of activities at the Warri and Port Harcourt refineries, as well as higher export volumes. The overall OPEC output decline was primarily driven by production cuts from the UAE due to planned field maintenance from Iran. To the FX market now, see the NAFEX rate saw a decline of about 5 naira, 3 kobo, settling at 1,543 naira during the NFEM trading session, 0.46%. Down for this week. NFEM 1,545 naira. That was a close weakness there. NAFEX 1,543. So it was weakness across board for this market. The CBN rate to 1,539. So we're still seeing these prices play within the range. A similar trend. The Central Bank of Nigeria's closing rates, we're seeing that impacted to end of the day at 1,540. 5 naira. So intervention still expected right there in the market. All right, so the cost of calls, data and short messaging service in the country is set to rise in the coming weeks. It's because the federal government has agreed to the increase in telecom tariff proposed by operators in the industry. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, made this known during a stakeholder forum in Abuja yesterday. However, the minister explained that the hike will fall short of the 100% increase requested by service providers as government seeks to balance sector growth and protecting Nigerians from excessive financial burdens. He explained that the government had commissioned a study to evaluate the financial sustainability challenges of the telecom sector while minimizing the potential impact on consumers. On his part, the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Telecommunications Commission, Mr. Aminu Maida, noted that tariff adjustments will be accompanied by measures to simplify billing systems and increase transparency. All right, now let's head straight to the commodities market. Now we have Ms. Bismarck Rouhani joining us. Great to have you on the show. Good morning, sir. So I guess now we have, confirmation, from the side of the government, a hike is coming. So I guess telecom operators can, bring out the champagne at this point.
Well, you're right. You're damn right. Yesterday, the price of MTN shares went up by 10% to 220. The investors have already factored that in and are expecting a lot of goodies. But more important to think about this is the fact that because of an increase in tariff and an increase in investment to make the industry sustainable, we are going to see an increase in productivity, not directly, but indirectly. Any increase in productivity and output is likely to allow inflation to moderate, which is the goal. So we heard from the policymaker, which is the Minister of Dr. Bosun Tijani, who was very clear that we want a sustainable sector. But we also heard from the regulator saying that we'll hold these guys to quality of service. We also heard from the operators, MTN, that they are all revving up and they're going to increase their capex. So in all, the economic benefits because of increased output and productivity. Two, policymakers align because they want this to lead to a moderation in inflation. And regulators, that is the NCC, and the Competitor Protection Agency, will also help to ensure that quality of service is maintained. So in all, I don't think it's a bad deal. Will they get 100%? No, they will definitely not get 100%. We suspect that we are going to likely see something between 40 and 50%, which is fair after so many years of static changes.
You're mentioning 40 to 50%, but what if we see 20 to 30%? Does that not compensate for anything?
No, 20% doesn't even compensate for inflation of last year. We're seeing inflation already at our projections that inflation is going to come out about 35.3%. The numbers are coming out on Monday next week. So even if you increase by 20 or 30%, you have not even compensated for this year's inflation. You have not even compensated for the exchange rate devaluation of 47% in 2024. So 20, 30% does not even cut it at all. You need something much more aggressive. And what you should be asking is that what will be the corresponding increase in output and productivity because of this increase? Definitely, this is exactly the thing that we require. We need an increase in productivity, increase in capex, and therefore, I would say that anything less than 40 or 50% is not even in the ballpark at all.
Okay, so I'm guessing 40 to 50% hike. Does that mean protecting consumers, and 100% means you're leaving consumers in the cold?
No, 100% is too aggressive. Obviously, for the past 10 years or so, there's been no adjustment, while cumulative inflation for that period is in excess of 150%. So I don't think we should be talking about what the quantum of increase is. It is what the level of productivity that will be associated with this increase bring. And don't forget, you've seen the Band A adjustment some days ago for electricity. And one of the major costs of telco operation is power. So if the power supply situation improves and the tariff is increased, you will see that this particular sector is going to contribute significantly. But please note that for 2 years, there have been no dividends from the telcos, and MTN and Airtel were one of the largest dividend disbursers in this period. Because of losses, they've paid no taxes. So even if there's a tariff increase today, you are not going to see this reflect in the profitability of the companies for another year. So it's a long, hard road to travel, but definitely the longest journey in the world starts with the first step. And we should look at it in the context of the fact that, one, there's been an increase in wages, which is not satisfactory, but it's somewhere. Secondly, there are tax concessions going to be given to the telcos as well, so that they can actually amortize some of their taxes, or actually waive some of the taxes as well, reduce their tax liability, and that can be used and passed back on to the consumers. And it's not, I don't think it's a flat increase. It's going to be staggered across different products, like data, voice, SMS, and all that. So the details will be worked out between the regulator and the operators, but the important thing is that we need investments in that sector. And if we go further to say what we call the what-if analysis, if you do not do this, what is the likely outcome and unintended consequences? Drop calls, the entire payment system, at the mercy of the telcos and the switch. the airline booking system, the medical tourism, the education, all of those things mean that we must begin to invest in this sector that enables and actually catalyzes growth. It is so important and imperative. It must be done like yesterday.
And do you think telecom tariff hikes, do they play into inflation?
It helps to reduce inflation because it increases productivity. Let me give you an example. If I was going to go from Aja to Ikeja to do a job, and I can't get through on the phone because the base station is down, I'd have to go to Aja to find out that the guy is not there. Or I have to go to Aja, find out what is there, come back, go to Ikeja, then come back to buy the parts, which I'll use to go back again. If you streamline all of this activity, you'll see that there's actually a reduction in cost. And we've seen that especially with the electricity tariffs, that the more cost reflective the tariff, the more they invest, the more the downtime, because diesel and alternative energy cost about 4 times more than public power supply. So we've seen that a nominal increase in tariff does not necessarily lead to a corresponding increase in cost, because you have to factor in the productivity gains that come with it. I think it's something that means that the average cost actually, in most cases, actually comes down. It's the marginal cost that increases. People are more efficient in the deployment of these resources at that time.
All right, so it's inflation reporting season. It's upon us at this time. We're seeing major economies reporting. We're expecting inflation for December. What's your crystal ball telling you?
Our projection is about 35.3%. We noticed that of the 46 commodities that we track, about 25% of those commodities increased in price. Another 26 or 27% actually stayed flat. And about 48% of the commodities we tracked actually showed a decline, which is quite interesting. And this is for the December inflation. In January, every year, traditionally, prices come down because, one, Ladi, you know that you would have finished all your money celebrating in December, the dirty December.
Yes, all my money is finished at this point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so you are not able to buy anything. So what we see in January is that prices come down, consumer resistance is high, and we've seen the petrol price war, even though it's marginal, we've seen that is helping, and the price of diesel is coming down. So we think that January we'll see some moderation, but for the December inflation, it goes up to 35.6. Food inflation is still relatively high. And so January we'll see the change and moderation. Hopefully that will hold the hands. We think that the Central Bank of Nigeria, the NNPC meeting on 27th and 28th of this month, will hold steady and maintain the status quo, which means that we are going from a period when things were increasing, inflation was increasing rapidly, interest rates were increasing rapidly, to when inflation begins to moderate and interest rates stay stable and then begin to get ready for a decline later in the year. But it's the beginning of a moderation or a point of inflection, which is good for the economy. But let's be clear that there's no silver bullet, and this is not going to happen overnight. We have a long, hard road to travel.
And talking about a long road, we're seeing Ghana, the inflation for December, that's out, showing the fourth consecutive month of increase at 23.8%.
Yes. Ghana is quite interesting because they did all the things they had to do. But what has happened now, we've had 4 consecutive increases. It's now at about 23.8%. Now, but you must remember that Ghanaian inflation got as high as 54% a year ago. So they've hiked interest rates. They've taken away some of the subsidies. They've actually had a change in government, right? So this is it. I think that Ghanaian institutions are quite strong compared to our own institutions, which are fragile. And so the Ghanaian bureaucracy is, even though they are strong institutions, they are quite bureaucratic. So there'll be some time, but you know, Ghana is a more diversified economy. They have tourism, they have oil, they have bauxite, they have aluminium, and they also have education, and they have strong education institutions. So a lot of people, even from Nigeria, are going to schools there. So we think that the Ghanaian experiment is a good guide for us, but Nigeria's economy is 8 times the size of Ghana. Ghana has only 2 airports, I think, Kumasi and Accra, and maybe one other. We have at least 30 airports in this country. It's quite significant that we should be leading, we should be setting the example for small countries like Ghana, but they seem to be setting the examples for us. But having said that, Nigeria's potential, and we use the word potential with tongue in cheek, is much higher, and all we have to do is now begin to go about it in a more systematic and strategic manner, and then you will begin to see the results. But the results are not coming instantaneously. We have to be patient and avoid the crisis of false expectations.
All right, patience, watchword at this point. But looking at other economies now, we're seeing inflation for the Eurozone. That rose too in Germany. Inflation is also up for the month. So is inflation trying to make a comeback for most of these economies in 2025?
I think there's some major changes. First and foremost, let us note one thing. The dollar has appreciated based on all sorts of expectations that the Trump want will work. But if you read Richard Schumer's article in the Financial Times, the Trump effect is going to be very muted and not going to make such a difference. But more importantly is that if the Ukraine-Russian war, if there's a kind of truce, then the commodity prices that were pretty high begin to come down, and that could help us in terms of the imported inflation. Food prices globally have come down by over 2.5% in 2024 and likely to come down further. So, 1, the dollar strengthens. 2, at the same time, the price of gold is actually appreciating. I think that we are going to see some major changes. For Nigeria, I think you need to understand that one of the big drivers of inflation in this country is the cost of fuel, petrol, diesel. The Dangote intervention has meant it's a major white knight for Nigeria. That is, it kept the price at 899. I'm not saying it will stay there, but at least it's not 1,800, 1,500. That is a major significant catalyst for inflation moderation and competitiveness in this country. Right? That has to be driven. When you put all of these things together, the foundation for a strong economy is being laid. But what is important, though, is that policymakers, public office holders, the bureaucracy have to cut back on their profligacy. I think we need the burden of sacrifice has to be equally shared so that we don't have on one hand, the people making the sacrifice and the government officials and all of that are living like sheikhs. So it's a combination of these.
All right, Mr. Rwanda, we'll keep tracking to see who wins this battle in 2025. Thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Rwanda.
Happy New Year once again.
Happy New Year again. Thank you. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, conversations ahead. Do stay with us. I will see the NNPC Foundation Limited said they're committed to positively impacting the lives of Nigerians through sustainable community development initiatives. One key area of focus this time is healthcare, where the NNPC Limited Foundation is investing in critical health projects to provide underserved communities with access to essential healthcare services. Let's dive into the details of these initiatives now. Joining us for this conversation, we have Mrs. Emanuela Arukwe, is the NNPC Foundation Limited GTE. Great to have you on the show. The managing director.
To be here today.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So,
Happy New Year.
Yeah, so I've been seeing a lot of moves there by the foundation. Enlighten us on what this particular program is about.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on this show today. Happy New Year to all, everyone. NNPC Foundation is the social arm of NNPC Limited, and the NNPC Limited is committed actually to making sure we have sustainable sustainable community healthcare services that will boost the lives of Nigerians. This is one of the initiatives we are doing. We have a lot of healthcare interventions, but it's one of our interventions, and it's talking about a extraction of cataract across the 6 geopolitical zone. We all know that cataract is one of the leading causes of blindness, and so 43% of blindness in Nigeria is actually caused by cataract, and it's a preventable thing. And so we are leading this campaign across the 6 geopolitical zones to make sure that we'll screen people. First of all, we educate people. Then after educating people on what to do to make sure they don't have cataract or some of these eye conditions, another issue is also to screen them, and also to make sure that those who test positive for cataract, we have excision done, and also follow up to make sure they are sustainably made sure that the eyes are restored fully. And so we are doing this right now across the 6 geopolitical, and we're starting with the Southwest. Right now, ongoing, we have started in December to screen people, and right now we are in Abeokuta and Lagos, screening people and having the surgeries being carried out. We started the surgeries in Abeokuta as far back as we just started this week. By Tuesday this week, we started surgery, and the surgery will be going on. We have about 800 people for Abeokuta who will be having this surgery done on them. And then in Lagos, we're going to also be having about 200 people. In Abeokuta, we are using the Federal Medical Center in Abeokuta for the surgeries. And then also in Lagos, we have 3 areas, 3 centers for screening. We have the Itire Cat Center that's screening people, area council. Screening is ongoing right now. We also have Ikeja Area Council and the Bagada. And then the extraction exercise we done in Lagos State, that's from the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. We expect to do the extraction on over 200 people. So that's where we are, and this is just the first of the initiatives that's going to be done across the 6 geopolitical zone. It's going to go on for the next 2 weeks. We expect we have all the operations done by the next 2 weeks, and then aftercare will set in to make sure that their eyes are fully restored. All those who are operated upon will come back for checks and all that, and then we'll take it out to the other geopolitical zone. It's a project that we are trying to run till by March. We should be done with the other 5 geopolitical zone. So it's really 6,000 people we have in mind to be able to restore their lives and stop blindness. Blindness is one of the leading causes of underproductivity, and we know it exacerbates a lot of hardship. So we just want to do this because we think it's preventable, and we think we are giving it to underserved communities. So where we are really concentrating is not on those who can afford it, but we are really looking at the underserved communities based on data. Thank you.
And I can imagine, it's definitely not easy, being blind. But who's expected to benefit from this program? Is there also some kind of diagnosis for people that might not have it now, but have the possibility of having it?
Yes, I said for us, blindness is preventable. For us, education is a key. So what we've done, we started in December to go to the communities. So we had a lot of road shows. We have road shows in Lagos and in Abeokuta, where we are really rolling out this program right now. So, and also we had education. We educated the people before we did screening and told them what to do, lifestyle changes, and also what to do to prevent cataract. And also not only cataract, just to take care of their general eye health and what to do. So we've had that. For us, education is the critical thing, really making sure people understand what it takes to keep their eyes healthy. And so we'll do this. This is one of a series of projects we have. We have other interventions in healthcare, but this is one of the interventions. So what it is really we'll go back, because we believe in sustainable development. We're going to go back to those areas and different areas again, because this is just the first rollout for the Southwest. And also we're going to come back to different areas. We're just doing this in Lagos and Ogun State, but we intend in future to widen the scope in all the geopolitical zones. And so we'll be able to do that and tell people what to do to really prevent, because they're preventable disease. Even cataract is preventable. So that's what we are doing right now. Thank you.
I think we know when you're starting, but when are you looking to end?
Oh, we are ending the next 2 weeks, because what has been happening, for example, in Abeokuta right now, we are having about 50 to 55 people having the surgery each day, and we are looking at 800 people. So we expect in the next 2 weeks. We just started on Tuesday. Today it's about the 3rd day. And so we're expecting the next 2 weeks we should be done. And in Lagos State, we're expecting about 200 people. And so we expect within the next 2 weeks, we're starting on the 15th of this month. Expect everything would finish in the next 2 weeks. That is for the Southwest zone, but we're also going to be doing other zones simultaneously. And so we intend for this whole project to be finished by the end of the first quarter. By 31st March, we expect to have had at least 6,000 people have its surgeries performed on them.
Would you say it's been easy, for these people, getting access to this?
Well, we've tried as much as possible to use social media as much as possible. We use Radio Nigeria, the local station. We've engaged with the community leaders, religious groups, the mosques, the churches, and we've gone to the ballets, the community heads and all that. We paid them visits, so they've really informed their community to get access. Yes, we have. There's a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. So at least so far, we have over 800 people already scheduled for the operations in Abeokuta, that's the Federal Medical Center. So it's been quite impactful with the road shows and also all the mediums we've used, and also the community heads and the chiefs have really made it quite easy. And so a lot of people are excited about this, and so they've been coming out.
All right, talk to me about the NNPC Foundation's driving philosophy, for this program.
Oh, one of the driving philosophy for NNPC Foundation. The NNPC Foundation, as I said, is a social arm of NNPC Limited, and we do a lot of interventions. Our key focus areas in intervening, it's really one of them, because we have a focus area, it's health, education, and the environment, and also access to energy. And so in health, we are looking at giving quality health, working with all kinds of people, the government and different agencies to make sure that we can restore or help out to have quality health facilities and access to undeserved communities. Because it's one of the things we look at to boost harmonious relationships where we operate, and we know our operations cut across generality of Nigerians, because our products are all over the place. So it's really, their philosophy is really to make sure that most people, all the undeserving and underserved communities, have access to quality health, and so we can bridge the gap. Because we are really looking at really serving the local communities and those who don't have the financial wherewithal. So we can bridge the healthcare gap. We know healthcare is one of the major challenges in Nigeria. So that's the philosophy. We have different initiatives at different times, but we see that blindness and cataract is something that's very preventable. And a lot of people, because they don't have the money, a lot of them are going blind. And blindness is a state that is irreversible most times when it sets in. And so that's why we are really doing that, to be able to make sure that people are more productive. If people have their health in good shape, they can really be more productive. So it's part of our sustainable initiatives in the communities.
And it's a new year. What more can we expect from the foundation in 2025?
Oh, the foundation, there's a lot. The foundation is quite relatively new. As with the NNPC has been doing a lot of social initiative, but right now we are doing it through the NNPC Foundation, which is just a 2-year company. We are incorporated as a company limited by guarantee February 2023. So we are just going to be, next month we'll be 2 years old. And we've done a lot of interventions in different areas. Education, we work with NYSC to train over 600,000 people, and we are giving them we are giving them startup packs for those who have passed all our tests, kickstart your businesses. So we have a social initiative for the coppers, which are the veritable age from 20 to 30. We also have the STEM books. We have distributed over 15,000 STEM books. And we've done a lot of initiatives also in the energy sector. That's the access to energy and environment. We've rolled out CNG buses. This year, we're going to be doing a lot of conversion and also education and training of people to do a lot of conversion on CNG. We're working with public transportation in the public transportation space to make sure we can get people to have access to cleaner energy and cheaper energy. We'll be doing that. We also have other interventions. We have a lot of cancer interventions we've done. We also have other interventions, other non-communicable diseases and other things we're going to do. And also we have other interventions. Aside from that, we also have other interventions in education. As I said, the NYC projects we are running, and we also have other interventions rolled out throughout the year. We are really focusing, as we said, on health, because we think it's a critical area. We're also focusing on education, and looking at the veritable ground, the youth empowerment project. We have a lot of youth empowerment projects to make sure people are empowered, because of the major problems we have in Nigeria. And also, we're also looking at, we are an access energy company, also for cleaner energy. Right. And to reduce our carbon footprints. And so we have a lot rolled out. It's good 2025. Last year, we're a relatively new company, but we are happy to announce that we took part in had some entries for the CSR award, which is the Social Enterprise Responsibility Award, and we had 4 awards, with our GCO being crowned the GCO of Africa, and also we won the award in Africa for good health and well-being because of our social initiative we did in glaucoma, in cataract, in cancer. So we are really expecting to do much more in a more concretized effort this year.
All right, congratulations definitely on the awards, and we'll be tracking to see how it plays out for 2025. Thank you so much, Mrs. Emanuela Arukwe. She's the Managing Director, NNPC Foundation Limited. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so that's the show. That's it from me on Business Morning. We still get you what's playing out in major markets. That's at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated to get intraday analysis on what's driving sentiment in the market. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. And things over to the Sunrise Daily team.